Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. So, continuing with our readings on the theme of happiness, Chapter 11, Happiness of P.A. Payutto's Buddhadhamma, translated by Robin Moore. And the title for today's reading is Joy in Learning and Joy from Learning. And I'll also be reading some sutta quotes. These were all translated by Ajahn Geoff. On this theme of sort of like learning, paying attention, investigation, sort of that theme. And then finally, thanks to some help from our audio crew, I'll be playing a brief audio. Okay. Joy in learning and joy from learning. This is will be page 910 and 911. Although deriving happiness in one's studies is important as part of the process of learning, it is not enough. Happiness is not simply a stage in learning or in spiritual practice, but rather it is the most essential part in the goal of one's studies. If one understands the true nature of happiness, one will discern that study or training is in itself a development of happiness in order for the student or practitioner to be truly happy. The genuine development of happiness requires a fulfillment of spiritual qualities which are present in those people who are accomplished. I have written several books on this subject of happiness as the goal of education or of spiritual training. Let us review some of the material in these books. The true purpose of education is to provide people with happiness. It is not enough for people to enjoy their studies. Education also needs to lead people to happiness. People then dwell in a normal state of happiness. Moreover, the learning process itself is also endowed with happiness. Does modern education provide people with happiness? Or does it make people simply hunger and yearn for happiness? An incorrect form of education leads people to discontentment. It becomes an instrument for sucking happiness out of people and making them thirst for it. The further one studies in such a defective system of education, the greater is one's thirst for true happiness. One is in want of happiness while studying, and one graduates from this system with yearning. One then rushes ahead in order to find personal happiness, competing for it and creating suffering and hardship for others. When people who are derived of happiness experience suffering, they vent their frustrations out on others and seize whatever happiness they can find for themselves. If children are taught in such a harmful way, upon completion of their studies, they will seek to maximize their own personal happiness. In this modern, technically developed age, one sees how people are caught up in the pursuit of happiness to the extent that they no longer have the time for others. They are in a constant state of want and pursuit of happiness, and they keep expecting it to arrive. The thirst for happiness is rampant throughout the entire society, including in family households, schools, and workplaces. The mind state of happiness deprivation is widespread, apparent throughout society. For this reason, we must emphasize that true education makes people happy and teaches people to look for happiness in the correct ways. Those people who have passed a correct system of education are able to solve problems, dispel suffering, and establish themselves in happiness. They cultivate themselves in order to reach more refined forms of happiness, and they share their happiness with others in a wide-ranging way. People who suffer from some form of problem often vent their frustration on others, and although this is an attempt on their part to find some kind of ease, their actions cause harm to others and to society. This includes those children who have some kind of difficulty and consequently act out in negative ways. On the contrary, those people who abide in happiness tend to share their joy with others, even when there is no direct intention to do so. Thus, to increase happiness in the world, we need to increase happiness in individuals. This corresponds with the Buddha's aim in relation to society, Abhayagiri sukham lokam, to create and abide in a world that is happy, free from oppression. This is our task as human beings, to create a happier world, to reduce oppression, to offer mutual support and assistance, and to abide in collective lasting happiness. And I'll read some sutta quotes. It's from Anguttara Nikaya. Is it Anguttara Nikaya, Book of the Twos, 123 and 124? And they're from the study guide, Discernment by Ajahn Geoff. Monks, there are these two conditions for the arising of wrong view. Which two? The voice of another and inappropriate attention. There are these two conditions for the arising of right view. Which two? The voice of another and appropriate attention. This is Iti Uttika 16. With regard to internal factors, I do not envision any other single factor like appropriate attention as doing so much for a monk in training who has not attained the heart's goal but remains intent on the unsurpassed safety from bondage. A monk who attends appropriately abandons what is unskillful and develops what is skillful. And this last sutta quote is from the Samyutta Nikaya, the Cook. I got this translation from dhammatalks.org. Suppose that there is a foolish, incompetent, unskillful cook who has presented a king or a king's minister with various kinds of curry, mainly sour, mainly bitter, mainly peppery, mainly sweet, alkaline or non-alkaline, salty or non-salty. He does not take note of his master, thinking, today my master likes this curry, or he reaches out for that curry, or he takes a lot of this curry, or he praises that curry. Today my master likes mainly sour curry. Today my master likes mainly bitter curry, mainly peppery curry, mainly sweet curry, alkaline curry, non-alkaline curry, salty curry. Today my master likes non-salty curry, or he reaches out for non-salty curry, or he takes a lot of non-salty curry, or he praises non-salty curry. As a result, he is not rewarded with clothing or wages or gifts. Why is that? Because the foolish, incompetent, unskillful cook does not take note of his own master. In the same way, there is the case where a foolish, incompetent, unskillful monk remains focused on the body in and of itself, ardent, alert, and mindful, subduing greed and distress with reference to the world. As he remains thus focused on the body in and of itself, his mind does not become concentrated. His defilements are not abandoned. He does not take note of that fact. He remains focused on feelings in and of themselves, the mind in and of itself, mental qualities in and of themselves, ardent, alert, and mindful, subduing greed and distress with reference to the world. As he remains thus focused on mental qualities in and of themselves, his mind does not become concentrated. His defilements are not abandoned. He does not take note of that fact. As a result, he is not rewarded with a pleasant abiding here and now, nor with mindfulness and alertness. Why is that? Because the foolish, incompetent, unskillful monk does not take note of his own mind. Now suppose that there is a wise, competent, skillful cook who has presented a king or a king's minister with various kinds of curry, mainly sour, mainly bitter, mainly peppery, mainly sweet, alkaline or non-alkaline, salty or non-salty. He takes note of his master, thinking, today my master likes this curry, or he reaches out for that curry, or he takes a lot of this curry, or he praises that curry. Today my master likes mainly sour curry, today my master likes mainly bitter curry, mainly peppery curry, mainly sweet curry, alkaline curry, non-alkaline curry, salty curry. Today my master likes non-salty curry, or he reaches out for non-salty curry, or he takes a lot of non-salty curry, or he praises non-salty curry. As a result, he is rewarded with clothing, wages, and gifts. Why is that? Because the wise, competent, skillful cook takes note of his own master. In the same way, there is the case where a wise, competent, skillful monk remains focused on the body in and of itself, feelings in and of themselves, the mind in and of itself, mental qualities in and of themselves, ardent, alert, and mindful, subduing greed and distress with reference to the world. As he remains thus focused on mental qualities in and of themselves, his mind becomes concentrated, his defilements are abandoned. He takes note of that fact. As a result, he is rewarded with a pleasant abiding here and now, together with mindfulness and alertness. Why is that? Because the wise, competent, skillful monk takes note of his own mind. Okay. So those are some readings on learning and appropriate attention. A slightly different. I'm going to play some audio. We're at the beginning of another practice week, and just some audio I've quite appreciated and found encouraging, supportive. And I actually played it last year, but I think it's worth playing again. And it's Ajahn Sucitto, and it was the last 11 minutes of a Dhamma talk, and the rest of the Dhamma talk was lost. But it was May 2013. Ajahn Sucitto, I believe, was actually sitting somewhere around where Ajahn Kurunama and Ajahn Yanko are sitting right now. And so I would just play that for the final reflection.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ Dhammāṃ Sanghaṃ namasāmi. It's always interesting in beginning a Dhamma talk with this kind of the amount of uncertainty that's there over, where each and every one of you are at, and what will be effective, what will be helpful, what to say, how much to say, what do you know already, and so on. So generally, I just kind of sit in that and just bring up a sense of kindness, just a wish to offer something that may be of use to you. And generally, in these talks, as you talk for 40 minutes. If it's something that you get 20 seconds of something that really stays with you, that's a pretty good night. Because it's Dhamma is like that, every little bit is kind of microcosmic fragment of it contains a lot, actually. And the very sense of uncertainty itself is something that I think we all recognise or come into, and we don't like it very much. So there can be a lot of nervousness, reactions around a sense of uncertainty, what we do in social groups to make sure we're not doing anything rude or impolite. What we do, to make sure that wherever we go we won't be harmed. What we do to make sure we've got all the gear we need to mean that we won't kind of find somewhere where we're without our comforts, our food, drink, shelter, sunblock, mobile phone, credit card, wallet, keys, watch, clock, water bottle, so forth. Kind of tokens of control that we carry around with us in kind of belts of it, little bits of plastic and things that will get us places or make sure we can get in contact with things. You realise how much kind of preparation goes on, that we want to do unconsciously. Who walks out without a watch and a key and a piece of plastic? Who dares venture forth? So it's kind of interesting, just to notice some of the stuff that we tend to not even really take into account. That without that, what's it like? Without what's it like? And so a lot of the time in Dhamma practice, you're starting to actually push back, stretch the envelope, push back some of these little things, tokens that we use to calm our nervousness or uncertainties. And we just have to trust. Just have to open my mind and trust, and ground myself, breathing in, breathing out, centering myself, breathing in, breathing out, centering myself in harmlessness, good intention, centering myself in Dhamma. And that's the point of it. It's the kind of most compact, portable accessory to always take with you wherever you go. Never gets out of date. Translates into any language, any situation. So you start to contemplate the very, experience of that directive mind, and what a reflex that is. There are very fundamental things that I'm sure we're all biologically geared to. One is I want to be safe. I don't want to be somewhere where I'm going to get shot to pieces. I want to be somewhere safe. I would like to be somewhere where I can, get some feel-good happening. Where I get my supplies in, my stash, my warmth, my enjoyment experience going. I want to be somewhere that's happening. With freedom from fear, freedom from loss. And that's the kind of, seems to me, that's the bottom line of all the movements. And most of that, from that movement is so strong, it's so, biologically geared. I mean, even slugs want that, I'm sure. That you can't really cut it out, but it's a matter of saying, just check in with, is this going there? Does this plane go there? Does this impulse go there? How long for? Yeah. How long's the ride on an ice cream? Feel good. How long's the place of how secure is our place of security? You can see this kind of this paradigm being played out in the world. Every country's got its Ministry of Defence. There's not a single country that's dedicated to aggression. What a wonderful, peaceful world we live in. all these states and nations just set up to make us feel really comfortable and secure. Well, it should be really peaceful, shouldn't it? There's not a single ministry of war in the world. Yeah. So how come? How come the more defense we have, the more rattled we get, the more frightened we get, the more fear there is? Yeah. How come? Because as soon as you start looking at things in that light of what one might be, what could happen, the terrors that might happen if we're not careful, then the whole thing starts to escalate, doesn't it? You get the defense. Well, because it might go wrong, we better blast them first before they get in. And so it goes, on that reflex. So you get kind of situations where the whole thing spins out of control. What about the daring of what would it be like if I just kind of trusted? What about if I practice loving kindness and generosity instead? What about if I accepted the fact that I'm going to die? And said, okay, I can't do much about that. Really. I might die, every time I get in a car I definitely think to myself, well, could end up smashed up under a truck. Nothing I can do about it really. Well, limited. Some virus might have its little beady eye on me at this very moment. Get into my central nervous system and totally impassively cause me all kinds of extreme degrading pain and death. What can you do, How much can you do? Or you say, well, I can't do all that much about that. What I can do something about is fear. Yeah, I can do something about that. The rest of it, I just have to take my chance. And, because that's it, isn't it? How long do one want to live running scared? So, we can work with that very welling up of anxiety, from the minor social anxieties, the anxieties about, what if I get it wrong? What if it doesn't work? What if I'm left here alone? And you think, okay, just look over the edge of that. Look over the edge of what if, and just wait, let your mind open up, and realize, that we've been running away from phantoms. If you examine, the attitudes we have, like what if I get it wrong? You've been getting it wrong all your life, It's no big deal. Everybody's getting it wrong. Everybody's making mistakes. Everybody's kind of falling, losing it, blundering, not noticing, not being as respectful, polite, kind, not really telling a really accurate, spot-on thing, going on too long, babbling on too long, not saying enough, not coming with the right emotional gesture at the right time. Everybody's getting it wrong. Why don't we just practice forgiveness instead and just get out of this trap? You forgive me and I'll forgive you, okay? Deal. And what if it doesn't work? But it never did work, did it? You show me a gadget that works. They all say they'll work. It's kind of this running battle with computers. Everything is breaking down. And we can get through that. We can pass it. We can be bigger than that. We can be bigger than getting it right and getting it wrong. We can be bigger than success and failure. We can be bigger than praise and blame. We can be bigger than gaining and losing. What a relief. to get out of the game. So, well, I accept it. There's going to be some pain and some, and I might even cause pain. But I really don't want to do that. And maybe the best way I can do it is just by being a bit more relaxed, a bit more at ease, a bit more broad-minded, a bit more less concerned about being absolutely perfect and right and on time and prepared and strategized and defended, socially approved, so forth. Just, go down in your belly, relax, breathe out, open up, and trust that as a human being you've got what it takes to be a human being. And you can learn from that. And you can learn to not make a big deal out of it. And you can learn to not get confused by it. You learn to not expect miracles out of it. And then you can learn to let go of it. Come out of it. Come out of the agitation and the self-consciousness that rises up in these forms. This is really important to learn, isn't it? This is nothing that's so esoteric, nothing so kind of, even high-minded. It's just basic sanity. But the wonderful thing is, it's very ordinary. It's also extremely profound because it actually starts to dismantle all of those kind of reflexes that seem so ingrained and so out of control, and they grip me and they push me around and they make me flustered and they make me say things I wish I hadn't said, and they make me snappy and they make me sad. And it starts to dismantle all that stuff and dismantle my hold on being something and proving something and getting somewhere and all that need, till one can be marvellously right here in a place that doesn't have a location. Because it doesn't have a location, you never leave it. Because you never leave it, you can't leave it. There's not that kind of grief and sadness and ups and downs and holding on and worry about it. This is what the mind is held by intention, by the kind of drive, whether that's a subtle inclination or it's a nagging thrust or it's a reflex twitch or it's a determined thrust, or however it is, and it's held by that, and it's held by attention, by landing somewhere, by occupying something, by setting up boundaries. This particular object I attend to, this particular scenario I'm with, this particular physical form I'm bound in, I'm with that. This is my area, this is my concern, this is my place. Those are the boundaries of attention. And the mind is held between attention, what it spans itself over, what it nestles on, what it rests upon, what it occupies, and by intention, where it wants to go and what it wants to do in that territory, what territory it wants to create. And you see this continual play between these. And through learning, through the very ongoing learning, as you begin to come through the topics of the mind, through the thing that occupy you, just to the very mainsprings of the intention, that wish to be, to have, to make, to do, to go, to become, to avoid, to sort out, which is kind of, it's an agitated push and attention, which means I'm holding a particular ground, I'm holding a particular piece of space, my mind, my body, my territory, wherever it is, however you sense that. These are both stress. And as you begin to kind of calm your attention calm your intention, steady your intention, and make your attention something that's very permeable. It can spread. You can go past your boundaries of uncertainty, of fear, of holding. You can go past your limitations. Your mind can open beyond that. You see where intention and attention dissolve and the mind is released. But in the ongoing truthfulness of our practice, it's really important to sift through all that kind of static and white noise that the emotions and the psychologies are setting up, to really see, to really get a handle on what intention feels like. In your nervous system. What attention, how that limits you, how that feels, how big you feel right now. How much space you have, how bound you feel. When you're really occupied with a whole series of thoughts, how tight and narrow you feel. How your attention bunches up. And you start to sense this is, in the bodily sense, you get a kind of real feeling for this and the release of that. This is what we practice. This is what we practice. This is the dissolving. Dissolving, and it involves the dissolving of one's controls, one's self-image, one's self-territories. So for that, it's got to be a comfortable ride. And we can feel in breathing in and breathing out, in the sense of good friendship, in the sense of morality, moral living, you feel the fundamental sense of it's okay. It's okay to be here. It's okay. That gives you just that edge, that ability to trust the process of practice. So there are intentions that are skillful. Intentions that lead to the disbanding of intention. There are things to attend to carefully. And perhaps the most important thing to attend to carefully is the quality of intention itself. Where you're going, why you're going, how you're operating with your desperate, speedy, dithering, joyful, whether it's skillful, unwholesome, just to really get a sense of that. What is the intention that leads to the disbanding of that? And is the dissolving of that into in your own body, or your own apparent, your own here and now experience. So offer this for your reflection. Om Dhammayam Dhammapithaya Sadhukaram Dadamase